Kellyanne, already a Category 4 storm?
It is, and it is a strong Category 4 storm, too. As you can see, it's slowly marching westward at about 5 miles per hour, so it's picking up fuel in the form of warm ocean water. Water temperatures are near 90 down here. And so it is set to strengthen even more over the next 24 hours, likely reaching Cat 5 by late tonight. Landfall expected as we head into tomorrow. Notice there's a sharp turn before that point. So we are watching closely all of the island of Jamaica for the likelihood for catastrophic flooding, storm surge impacts, and inland the likelihood for mudslides and landslides. This is something that we'll watch extending into western Haiti, into eastern Cuba, through the Bahamas. Next on the list later this week, this could be moving its way toward Bermuda. We are in the 40s to low 50s now, making our way toward the mid 50s this afternoon under a mix of sun and clouds. Our next threat for rain is arriving Thursday, looking like it's lingering into Friday. I'll break down the timeline ahead.
Are going to be getting a direct hit.
Yes, and it's multiple impacts. The rain likely going to be one of the greatest impacts because, as he talked about, you have the terrain there really leading to more of those mudslides and landslides. But we're also watching for catastrophic storm surge. The wind impacts are going to be very powerful as well. And it's a slow-moving storm, so it's unfortunately going to be a multi-day issue. So right now, it's a Category 4 hurricane. It is set to strengthen to a Category 5 within the next 24 hours. By the time we move toward landfall tomorrow night, it looks like it will likely be a very strong Category 4 storm. I wouldn't be surprised if it's still a Category 5. So we are bracing for tremendous impact in Jamaica, where, as you mentioned, 30 to 40 inches of rainfall is possible for Jamaica, but it's not just the island of Jamaica we're watching. Western Haiti, there's the likelihood for some areas where we could get 15 to even 30 inches of rain, and some of that heavier rainfall extends into eastern Cuba. So as we're watching this track, as we go from Tuesday into Wednesday, that's when this storm will get closer to Cuba. We'll have to watch because it will likely pass through some southern portions of the Bahamas, and the forecast here has the track moving right toward Bermuda as we inch toward Friday in a weakened form, but still the island of Bermuda has seen several storms pass through already this season, so this would be yet another to pass by. We're cool and dry here locally. On our radar, we're watching our next threat, which is a rainstorm for Thursday, Friday, with gusty wind in the forecast as well. But we are trending dry and sunny as we move toward next weekend, so some signs of hope at the end of the tunnel here. But we are cool out there this morning, not as cool as it was earlier. Now as we're traveling through the 10 o'clock hour, we're seeing most of the suburbs now in the 40s versus the 30s of earlier. And you can see Boston has now hit 50 degrees. We'll reach into the mid 50s this afternoon. Not a perfectly blue sky. There'll be some clouds painting our sky, but compared what it will feel like today to yesterday, a very similar outlook. It gets colder tonight. The suburbs fall below freezing, so I do expect we'll see not only a lot of frost, but these freezing conditions really setting us up for a very chilly start to our Monday. Afternoon highs reach into the 50s, but there will be a lot of clouds around, and those clouds continue to gather into Tuesday. There may be a few drops at the coastline Tuesday and Wednesday, but Thursday and Friday is our time frame of concern as the storm develops over the plains and digs into the southeast by Wednesday night into Thursday, and then rides northward. It is following a westerly track, so this means that it is not moving off the coastline. It's not a coastal storm. It's not a nor'easter, and so we're not talking about severe wind in the forecast, but rather a very gusty outlook for Thursday and especially heading into Friday. And with the timeline here, it is pushing more toward Friday, a little bit of a slower arrival, so we look like we get into the steadier rainfall Friday morning. It still looks wet, unfortunately, as we move toward.
Good morning.
Good morning. I'm Katie Thompson. There were some people out walking the beach. Probably need to bundle up, though. A little bit of a breeze.
Oh, for sure. You know, this is a time of year where the position that you are in relation to the sun makes a huge difference.
Yes.
So we are looking at earlier this morning, we were mainly in the 30s. We're at 50 degrees in Boston, and we're making our way toward the mid 50s this afternoon. So very similar feel to yesterday, although you'll see more clouds painting our sky in the mid to late afternoon hours. It is a dry outlook, but we have a rainstorm set to arrive Thursday and Friday. Gusty gusty wind in the forecast too. We're closely watching this one. The track has been all over the place, but there's a potential that we see some impacts for trick-or-treaters on Friday night. So watching that, and also watching Hurricane Melissa, Category 4 storm. It is a major hurricane, likely strengthening to a Cat 5. I'll have a look at where this is set to go after passing Jamaica ahead. With rain likely into your Friday, and that means, yes, unfortunately, some wet outlooks for the area here for our Halloween. The next 12 hours is dry. It's cool though, and it is a chilly night in store for us ahead. We're trending dry and sunny as we approach next weekend. We're 38 in Orange, but we're seeing most of the suburbs now in the 40s after starting in the 30s this morning. So we're making some progress here. 50 in Boston, and we're making our way toward the mid-50s this afternoon. You could see here 55 in Norwood. That's just a few degrees below average. We're also just below average in Boston. But with these mid-50s and some sun in the forecast, it will feel mild enough for getting out and about today. Sun really helps to make things feel milder. If you're in the shade, you might want a layer or two. And more so tonight as we see things getting a little colder for our inland spots, where most of the suburbs actually fall below freezing tonight, down to about 31 in Bedford this overnight, and you can see some 20s as you move farther north and west up toward Keene, New Hampshire at 29. So with most of the suburbs falling to the freezing point, if not below, be prepared. It's a very chilly start to our Monday. We will recover to near 50 in the afternoon, but certainly a very chilly start. It's a mainly rain-free outlook for your Monday and Tuesday. There may be a few drops at the coastline late Monday night into Tuesday and again for Wednesday, but the better chance for rain, as you can clearly see, is moving in for Thursday, Friday. So let's get right into it. This area of low pressure that's moving out of the plains and starting to shift southeast by Wednesday night to Thursday is going to eventually be our storm. Now, this is following a more westerly path than what we were looking at in the days ahead. And so at this point, with a more westerly path, we're not talking about a coastal storm. We're not talking about a nor'easter. So the potential for severe damaging wind is not as strong, but it still looks like a very gusty outlook and certainly a soaking rain. The timeline here has been pushed a little bit farther back, though. It's a little slower to arrive. Some interaction with Melissa, not directly, but Melissa's kind of stunting the approach of this rain. And that's why we're looking at Thursday night rather than Thursday morning for the start of the rainfall here. And it does look like that rain will linger into our Friday. The question is, does it scoot on out of here early enough for some recovery for Friday evening's trick-or-treaters? Right now, it does look like it's going to be wet and windy, and so we will closely monitor this as we move into the days ahead. Hurricane Melissa is set to strengthen to a Cat 5 by tomorrow before making landfall in Jamaica, where we're expecting close to 30 to 40 inches of rainfall. Catastrophic storm surge, landslides, mudslides inland, and the storm is crossing right over Cuba before making its way likely
Kellyanne Cicalese with who's in for Cindy this morning, and this thing looks massive, Kellyanne.
Yes, and Doug and Antoinette just in hot off the press here. We're seeing from the National Hurricane Center an update. The storm is now up to a Cat 5, 160-mile-per-hour wind. This is a beast of a storm. It is massive and it is slow moving. In fact, the speed has slowed down to only 3 miles per hour. So at this point, it is crawling. That is not good news. It's continuing to pick up the fuel of the 90-degree water temperatures down there, and it's going to bring multiple days of impacts here as it slowly marches right over Jamaica. We're expecting landfall early in the morning on Tuesday, in fact, in the pre-dawn hours, and then it will likely make its way toward Cuba, likely as a Cat 4 to Cat 3. And then from there, we'll actually be watching for some possible impacts for Bermuda by Thursday night into Friday. Meanwhile, it's quiet but cold here locally. We're down below freezing for most inland suburbs, down to 40 in Boston, making it the coldest morning so far this fall and the coldest we've been since April. We're in the low to mid 50s this afternoon, so not a bad afternoon for us. It's mild with more clouds moving in. But our next threat on the radar, heavy rain and gusty wind with possible impacts for Halloween. I'll break down the latest timeline and track ahead. But first, let's get you onto the roads.
He was doing an eye-opener like this. He was like this, eye-opener. He was right. He was into it. The kid was into it.
That's how we kind of feel sometimes waking up in the morning.
Right.
You know, just got to get the eyes open. Okay, you're talking about this monster storm, Kellyanne. It's just going to be awful.
And the thing is that I do a lot of school visits, and a lot of times the question is, what's the worst weather phenomenon that you could be stuck in? And it's this. It's a hurricane, active storm. The latest update coming in at about a Cat 5, 160-mile-per-hour wind. So this is a beast of a storm. It is huge. and it is moving so slow. In fact, the speed is slowed down to 3 miles per hour. It is taking a very slow turn as we move toward later today. That turn is pivotal because where exactly it turns will determine where the landfall is going to be. But clearly it's going to be on the south side of Jamaica. It looks like it's in the pre-dawn hours tomorrow morning. So as we move toward just about this time tomorrow as a Cat 5 storm, likely making a landfall again in Cuba as we move toward early Wednesday, right around a Cat 4 to Cat 3. Bermuda is next as we move toward Thursday night into Friday morning, possibly as a Cat 1 hurricane. So multiple islands getting impacted by this. The brunt of the storm for Jamaica is where we could see isolated pockets of 40 inches of rainfall. But even for Haiti and Cuba, 15 to 30 inches of rain can't be ruled out. Let's get you back locally on our radar. We're watching for increasing clouds today, but it is rain-free. A very cold morning, as I'll show in just a bit. Our next threat is heavy rain. It's moving in for Thursday, Friday, but it does look to clear out as we move toward the weekend. We're down to 26 in orange right now. A lot of us are down below freezing, so it's not just frost that's going to be the case this morning, but we're talking about freezing conditions. That 40 in Boston, that is the coldest we have been all season long and the coldest we've been since April. So it is a cold start. It is not your imagination. We are in the low to mid 50s this afternoon with sun giving way to more afternoon clouds. You can see by the 4 o'clock hour, and as we move towards sunset, we start to move into a mostly cloudy sky. That's the case overnight. It's not as cold, but still chilly in the upper 30s to low 40s. And then we focus in on this rain for Thursday. In the morning, we're likely dry, but by the evening, here's the rain moving in. And it looks heavy for Thursday night. By Friday morning, the worst of the rain should be moving out, but the question is, how long will we hold on to these spotlight showers? And it does look like that could linger into Friday evening before eventually moving out for Saturday. There also could be a tropical connection, so while general 1 to 2 inches.
What does it do to make landfall, Kellyanne?
So by this time tomorrow morning, it will be making landfall. It looks like it will be in the pre-dawn hours. This is a beast of a storm, up to Cat 5, 160 mile per hour wind, but it is moving even slower than what we were seeing with the earlier update. Now only moving at about 3 miles per hour. So this thing is just crawling its way closer and closer to Jamaica. Here's that track. You can see it holding on to that Cat 5 strength, that it likely makes landfall as we move between 1 to 7 tomorrow morning. After that, we're watching for Cuba. Landfall expected as we move toward Tuesday night into Wednesday morning, likely as a Cat 3 to Cat 4. And then from there, we'll watch for Bermuda with possible impacts by later in the week. It is cold for us this morning, the coldest we have been since April. We're down to the 20s for some of our suburbs, 40 in Boston, mid 50s this afternoon with a mix of sun and clouds, although the clouds will thicken towards sunset as we turn mostly cloudy overnight. Our next threat on our radar, heavy rain and gusty wind, possible impacts for your Halloween. Breaking down the latest track ahead. We are down to 40 degrees in the city, making it our coldest morning so far this season. We have some clouds in the forecast today, especially this afternoon and evening, but the chance of some drops at the coastline, that moves in overnight tonight with those clouds moving toward the coastline. Initially focused over Cape Cod, but I do think that will spread its way along the coast tomorrow. So watch if you're at the coastline, you may run into a few sprinkles. A similar outlook for Wednesday. It is moving 3 miles per hour. So this is going to be a multi-day impact for the island. This is really just a worst case scenario as we're sitting at Cat 5 strength, 160 mile per hour wind. And yes, landfall after a little bit of a turn here over the next 24 hours is expected as we move into the pre-dawn hours tomorrow morning for the island. So really so many thoughts go out to Jamaica because this is going to be, unfortunately, a life-threatening situation. We are watching for Cuba next, and still a very powerful storm with landfall expected by late Tuesday night into Wednesday. Then we're watching the Bahamas, and then farther down the pipeline, look at this. We're looking at a forecast with a track right over Bermuda, an island that has felt several storms move through this season. The bullseye of the rain will be Jamaica, by no surprise, where we could see 30 to 40 inches of rainfall, leading to catastrophic flooding and landslides. But western Haiti and Cuba also bracing for some tremendous amounts of rainfall. Meanwhile, here locally on our radar, no signs of rain, but we have increasing clouds today after a very cold morning. Our next threat of rain is moving in Thursday to Friday, and there is a potential for some gusty wind with that. We are in the upper 20s to low 30s in the suburbs where, yes, we're below freezing, so it's a very cold start. This 40 in Boston is making it our coldest morning so far this season, but a recovery this afternoon. afternoon as we climb into the low to mid 50s. Morning sun gives way to increasing clouds this afternoon, and we turn mostly cloudy tonight. I do think we'll see a few drops overnight in Cape Cod, but then we're watching for all of the coastline for that chance of drops Tuesday and Wednesday before this storm starts moving in Thursday and Friday. I'll break down the timeline of this possible Halloween storm ahead. Let's get you onto the Yeah, I guess so. We're looking ahead to Thursday, Friday. We're watching for periods of heavy rainfall with wind gusts of 30 to 40 miles per hour. This is going to be some windswept rain. And while it's not severe wind gusts that we're watching for, the concern is that this could linger into Friday evening, which of course means some impacts to our trick-or-treating plans. The exact track of the low is still uncertain, and that's going to have a big influence on the timeline. But let's take a look at what the latest computer models are suggesting on this Monday morning. Here we are Thursday morning, and it looks like the rain will just start moving in from the west. However, here we are Thursday evening, and it looks like we're getting into the thick of it at that point. So we do expect that things will be heavy at times in terms of the rain for Thursday night into Friday morning. As we advance the timeline toward Friday evening, while the worst of the rain is out of here, you can see there's a few spot hit or miss light showers. So I am concerned that we might see that into Friday evening. We'll have to watch for that as we get closer, as we of course are very closely watching for that Halloween forecast. There is a chance for a general 1 to 2 inches, but my concern here is that there might be some pockets where things are a little heavier, possibly 2 to 3 inches. And that's because while Hurricane Melissa is not a direct hit for us, it's well out at sea, there could be this tropical connection as the front kind of pulls in the moisture. See how this purple stretches up toward Boston on Thursday? That's a tropical connection. And while the models are not having a good time of really picking up on this, there is that potential that we need to watch for that we get into heavier rainfall. So while generally the forecast is 1 to 2 inches, I do think we could see some heavier spots with up to 3. We're down below freezing for much of the suburbs this morning. It is our coldest morning so far this season with 40 in Boston. But this afternoon's not bad. Low to mid 50s with some clouds moving in. Those clouds continue to thicken into tonight, but we're mainly rain free. We're watching for a few drops at the coastline for tomorrow.